Behind us we're seeing the main western bypass, and below that is one of the main arterials leading into and outside the inner city. The ramps leading off and onto the western bypass, they are also priced. So you are paying when you go into and leave the inner city. This used to be a much more congested place before the congestion pricing. The outgoing traffic would be almost standing still, especially in the afternoon. And I mean, right now we're with 9 in the morning. It would have been congestion in the morning as well, but less severe. Nowadays, we still have some queues, but they are just so much less than it was 20 years ago.
How much controversy was there in the 6 months after it went into effect? People were probably grumbling, right?
Yeah. In Stockholm, people really thought that it would be the end of the world. You know, the city would come to a standstill. No one would get to work anymore, and all the theaters and shops would just go bankrupt. None of that happened. Between the time of the decision and the time when the trial started, it was extremely controversial. I mean, it was by far the most controversial political issue. News pieces every day, you know, for year after year after year. I've never seen anything like it, really. But then the trial started, and from day one, when people saw streets like this, I mean, it was like, I can't believe this. It was just a huge change. And the political debate, it really changed from does it work? Because it so obviously worked, to discussing actually more relevant things, like how should we design the system? What should we use the money for? Is it exactly the same amount? Should we, increase it somewhere, decrease it somewhere?
The debate changing right away.
Yeah.
And then the question was, is it raising the money we thought?
Yeah.
Did it raise the revenues that were projected, or more or less?
It raised slightly less than projected. And that was mainly because no one believed the traffic reduction would be so big.
This is an interesting point.
Yeah.
It initially reduced traffic so much that you didn't raise as much money as you thought.
No, exactly.
But it wasn't raised for another 10 years. So what happened during that period?
And the thing is that it wasn't introduced in order to raise revenue. It was introduced in order to reduce congestion and improve the urban environment. And then getting some money, that was like a nice side effect. And then almost as an afterthought, if I exaggerate just a little, as an afterthought, it was decided to use the money for infrastructure investment. The increase in 2016, that was actually more or less the other way around, because it was more or less apparent to traffic experts that it would be probably good to increase it in rush hours, because, well, traffic hadn't really increased, but we still had some car queues. And then when that insight coincided with the need to raise money for a new metro investment, well, then suddenly you had an alliance between the people who wanted the metro investments with the traffic experts say that it would probably be a good idea to raise the rush hour charge.
What do you say to New Yorkers who are suspicious of the toll?
It works much better than you think. It really works much better than you think. Because, I mean, if you design it well and you use the revenues for something good, then you will have less congestion than before. Some people will pay. They might not be happy. But then on the other hand, you need the money for something else, like, improving public transportation, for example.
But will New Yorkers ever come to that feeling?
Well, maybe not the first year, but in a couple of years, I'm actually growing rather convinced of that. And in 20 years, you won't think about it anymore.